Awesome.
LeBron James.
Scream if you love Incision.
We've all seen a boomer shooter, right? A game genre where you start with nothing but a pistol, end up having an army stockpile of weapons as you play God, cutting down everyone who gets in your way. Well, what if I told you about a game where you'll be sniveling like a coward, crawling on your hands and knees for a crumb of help? That's right, we're talking about Incision today, a boomer shooter that dares you to think differently. Well, sort of. You may have been scrolling through Steam one day and saw a little listing for a game called Incision. Let's be real, the indie scene has absolutely been exploding with these games over the past few years, and it has never been a better time to be a fan of this genre. At first glance though, it may seem like Incision is just another one of these retro-inspired boomer shooters. It has the low poly enemies, fast combat, and so much blood that even Dracula would blush. Well, let me tell you, Incision is not just another shooter. The longer you spend with this game, the more you'll start to notice that Incision is doing things a little, well, let's say differently. Incision is brutal, no doubt about that. It's grotesque, as if I need to tell you that after you saw some of this B-roll footage. It's also full of systems that you'll learn the hard way. You'll learn like I did, through experimentation, through curiosity, and through your many deaths that the game does warn you will happen. Before we talk about the gameplay, we need to talk about the world, because this game is disgusting. I'm talking about the atmosphere this game is absolutely drenched in. This whole game is incredibly gnarly. Everything is made of meat and steel, including yourself. Speaking of that, here's you before your accident. Here you are after. An upgrade in the style department, if you ask me. Now our guy here, we'll call him Healer. He's been changed by the throne, that giant Quake-esque totem that grabbed him and made him into this part man, part meat, all stylish piece of ass we see here. He spent the last 6 months after his transformation studying all the amalgamations you'll see in this game, all for the sole purpose of learning how to kill them better. Now that's some next level hater energy we all can strive for. Usually this is where the story in these boomer shooters ends, right? You have your goal, and it's just used as the reason our main character is about to mow down an amount of enemies that probably could rival a small country. Not Incision though. Incision has much more lore and story for us, dear viewer. Imagine my shock when, as I started to play, I found these glowing points of interest, and they told me story. That's right. Throughout the entire game, you'll get a chance to look at these, and you'll actually get a ton of insight on our boy Healer, and get to hear his thoughts on what he's seeing. This was such a nice surprise for me. It added so much to the game. Every level has a few paragraphs before it, with Healer talking about what he needs to do, what is going on, giving us a bit more lore. This really reminded me of Postal 1's level start screens a bit, honestly. Not only was I going through the game just because it was fun to shoot stuff, but I wanted the next bit of story, the next remark about the messed up world we're going through. Speaking of messed up world, look at this place. What a hellhole. All jokes aside, I love stuff like this. I'm a big fan of bioorganics, and I mean the vibe of media with it, and the aesthetic. When I was playing through this game, I had flashbacks to my younger years, watching stuff like Genocyber and Geiger. I guess what I'm saying is, I'd like to see more filth like this in video games in general. I'm getting off topic now though. Before I forget, I'd like to take a moment to mention the soundscape of Incision. It's great. So much of the atmosphere in this game is enhanced by the music used here. This game does a fine job enough of making you feel like you need to take a shower after playing it by itself. But the soundscape here just adds another layer of filth that you feel may not wash off. Monstrous beings of meat screaming in jubilation upon seeing you, and running at mock speed to have you join them as part of the ever-growing ecosystem of meat iron creatures. followed by a big chunky thunk of your quad shotgun or machine gun, mowing them down as the meat squishes from each of your footsteps. Yeah, that's the stuff right there. Oh yeah, did I mention the soundtrack? Instead of going for a full metal soundtrack, I Music seems to have gone for a rather unique dark EDM angle, and it works perfectly for this game. You'll have a nice, pretty chill ambient track as you go through the levels, only for it to seamlessly kick into maximum overdrive as soon as you enter a room full of enemies. There's nothing like some nice music to enhance the joy of wanton gore and viscera. I'd like to take a moment to show you a sort of sampler of some of my favorite tracks in Incision, so you can really enjoy it just as much as I have.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
But atmosphere only carries a boomer shooter so far. Eventually you have to ask the important question. Does it actually feel good to kill things? Like a lot of boomer shooters, you've got your array of weapons you'll be using throughout your time of Incision. You've got your starting pistol, which is a freaking magnum by the way. Pretty cool. You've got your quad shotgun and your machine gun. These are going to be your workhorses throughout the game here. Weapons that you go back to when you need something steady and reliable. There's also a rocket launcher, flamethrower, minigun, sniper, and a kitty. Wait. A kitty? Yeah, meet Kitty. She's pretty cool, and will save you from running out of ammo. You see, Kitty actually runs on the blood of monsters that you kill. Shoots it back at monsters as a sort of semi-sticky grenade launcher, and looks adorable while doing so. Honestly, I found myself using her over a lot of other weapons just because she was so fun to use. And how could you neglect this phase? That's a pretty good smorgasbord of weapons there, huh? Pretty solid lineup if I do say so myself. But wait, there's more! Every single weapon in this game also has some kind of alt-fire attack for you to play with as well. A good example is our quad shotgun. Because one barrel is just silly, 2 isn't enough, and 3 is one too few. Hit the alt-fire on this bad boy and you're about to deliver 4 shots of hot lead to an enemy's face. I actually found this incredibly useful against the psychopaths in particular, because they're little bastards like to lunge you with their pizza cutters. Take that, you foul beast. I won't ruin all the fun for you, and explain all the alt-fire modes here, but just so you know, if you're a good boy and hunt for secret levels, you may just be graced by a freaking nuke that you can load up into the rocket launcher. How's that for taking care of business? I guess now is a good time to address the elephant in the room when it comes to this game. If you've been paying attention to the footage at all, you might have seen that at times the game says extra life lost and wondered what that actually means. Well, let me extrapolate upon that. That is the game system of keeping you honest. There's no quick saves allowed here in Incision. Just these extra lives that you'll find scattered around the levels. If you die of any of these extra lives, you have to start the level over from the beginning. Before playing this game, I saw that this feature was incredibly divisive for people. I have to tell you, dear viewer, that this guy is a big fan of this mechanic. I'll be the first to admit that when I play boomer shooters, I do a little save skimming. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Even still, I found myself really enjoying this extra life system. It takes death and makes it not just something to be feared, but a resource. It alters your playstyle on the fly. Have no lives and not sure what's going to be around the next corner? Go through the game slow and steady. Have a lot of lives and feeling yourself? Play incredibly aggressively, using the few seconds on invulnerability per lost life to wreak havoc on all who oppose you. There's also the very real possibility that you will get overconfident and be back at 0 extra lives, in which case go back to playing like you're scared for your life like I do. I understand the hate for this, as it can be incredibly demoralizing to have gotten all the way to the end of a level and have the last enemy clean your clock and cause you to lose all your progress. I believe game mechanics need to have a tediousness to depth ratio that feels justified. If the mechanic feels too tedious without adding much depth, it can be a real buzzkill. I believe that the extra lives mechanic comes out on top of this ratio, however, adding just enough depth to be worth having. Without it, I'd be a dirty save scummer, robbing myself of the jubilation I felt when I would finally complete an especially tough level and see the results screen. That feeling kept me going, and I wouldn't trade it just for the convenience of undoing my many mistakes without my playthrough. You will die, by the way. Like a lot. The game really likes to kill you. A lot. Quite a few times during my playthrough, I would be right near the end of a level, and the final gauntlet of enemies, or this Dark Souls looking guy in particular, would kill me over and over till I ran out of extra lives, therefore putting me all the way back to the beginning of the level and having to go through it all again. I would go through the level a bit better each time though, saving a bit more ammo, hoarding a few more lives, playing a bit smarter, just so I can come back and mollywop their asses. It's worth engaging with the mechanic and going through the game. Have a little faith. Now, dear viewer, I know I went on about the lore of Incision, and your dear narrator just left you hanging. I apologize for that. Allow me to rectify that problem right now and show you some. Our boy Healer here, before he was a badass biomechanical Templar hell-bent on revenge, was a military scientist, archaeologist, and war veteran. Oh yeah, and, most importantly of all, a man with bad temper. What a badass. Anyways, Healer was called to his home city to examine some ruins that are recently found below it. While exploring the ruins, his buddy is killed, and he is, air quotes, gifted with the process of rebranding. We aren't really told the reason for this till much later, but basically the grafting throne, this thing, wants you to kill it and everything involved with it. Why does his buddy get killed and Healer got the superpowers? Luck of the draw, I guess. Anyways, during this rebranding process, the throne implanted an unbending will to accomplish the purge, and Healer spent the next 6 months from the opening cutscene studying all these monsters and machinations of the grafting throne. The rebranding may have made Healer into an amalgamation of flesh and steel, but it comes with some perks, believe it or not. A sturdy body, made of taking as much abuse as the grafting throne and its cult can throw at him, never feeling hunger, fear, exhaustion, or thirst ever again. The throne also allowed Healer to keep his memories from his past life, to use as fuel for his campaign, perhaps? 8 levels later, and 1 ugly baby later, Healer destroys the throne, completing his mission. Or has he? After all the debauchery of the last episode, we're shown that the outside world meat seems to be losing stability and melting. We're also shown something? My first time seeing this cutscene, I really had no idea what this was supposed to be. Also shown are the Malachant, or is it Malachant? Whatever, we're going with Malachant for the purposes of this review. These guys are basically the reason the Earth has this infestation of meat. An ominous figure is also shown. Who could this mysterious figure be? Well guys, it's the Queen of the Malachant. I already know this since I beat the game, scouring for all the lore I could like a little lore goblin. Back to Healer. He has been transported to somewhere new. Waking up, his only thought is that if the throne is still alive, he must find it and kill it. If nothing else, Healer is definitely goal-oriented. You have to give him that. As episode 2 progresses, we learn through the interactive lore bits that basically the Malachant are old, death-fearing, rotting creatures from beyond the stars. The Malachant basically see death as something unnatural, wanting to correct it, fixing what is considered a flaw for their race. To do this, the Malachant Queen has the idea to plant the grafting throne, into inhabited planets to turn its people into growth. The squishy flesh you can't have ignored up until now. By harvesting the growth and purifying it, the Malachant can create near-endless stockpiles of their, air quotes, medicine, which ensures that none of them may die from old age nor sickness. It sounds like a good, if not screwed up plan in theory, except for most of the medicine was given directly to the Queen instead of doled out evenly to her subjects. The Queen presents herself as this benevolent leader that only wants the best for the Malachant, but over time that side seems to have waned, and they all seem to pretty much know that she's actually incredibly toxic. The medicine was never something she wanted to give to her people to ensure a long and prosperous civilization. It was a tool she could use, a carrot on a stick, to get the Malachant to work together and do her bidding, really driving home how evil she is. This poor little guy. Believe it or not, this monstrosity is the Queen's son. From a young age, possibly infancy, the Queen had her son subjected to all kinds of experimental and extreme forms of technology to rebrand him as the throne had done to heal her. You see, the Malachant learned through the years by combining fresh, purified growth, or malnourished as they call it, with a young and healthy specimen, they may create a so-called key wielder. Everyone who gets branded grows a blade, like ours, and the blade is a key to the world within the grafting throne. Once inside the world, inside the grafting throne, the rebranded can then take the true throne within, creating life as mortal gods. The Queen's son took well to all this rebranding, and this caused the Queen to become incredibly jealous of her own son. Because of this, she cast her son into the ship's sewer system, never wanting to see him again. The Queen now knew the rebranding process could work, and took her son's place. Placing a totem on a planet that turns the inhabitants into mounds of pulsing meat is one thing, but flushing your own son down the toilet, only for him to still inhabit the sewers and grow to gargantuan size like alligators in New York, that's just cruel, man. Disposing of him and cutting through the rest of the Malachant dumb enough to stand in our way, we finally get back to the grafting throne. This time, though, we slice our way into it and enter the world within that harbors the true throne. It's in here that we meet the pilot. This straggly guy right here is actually the first of the Malachant. He tells us that he had been tortured and abused for centuries, being used for the Queen's wills. That is, until he found Healer, the perfect specimen, and rebranded him for the sole purpose of destroying the grafting throne and himself, put an end to the Malachant's greed. That is, until they found Healer, a perfect specimen, and rebranded him for the sole purpose of destroying the grafting throne and himself to put an end to the Malachant's greed. We continue on, coming face to face with the Queen of the Malachants herself. She seems surprised to see us, almost like she never expected a lowly human to rise up against her will. Healer isn't human anymore, though. He's something more. After having an oddly melee-focused fight in what is otherwise a heavy gun-focused game, we slay the Queen, medium style. We get to see the throne shatter, releasing tons of what I assume to be growth, or maybe it's blood, devouring all the Malachant and their mini monuments to the now dead Queen. There is so much that it becomes too much for the Malachant ship to bear, causing it to break apart, releasing all the red liquid into the town, completely covering it in strawberry jam goodness. Having absolutely no idea what happened, we treated to a sort of first-person perspective intro to Episode 3. That sounds really weird to say, when the whole game is first-person. I guess I'm just not used to it in the cutscenes, since those have been third-person up to now. I'm not saying I dislike it, don't get me wrong. It just felt weird to think about it. Back to the topic at hand, though. Healer is being lauded over by some of the cult members. I don't like this. I have a bad feeling. Yep, I knew it. We see these cultist douchebags take what I thought was our heart, but it's actually the gift that the grafting throne gave to us so that we could destroy it. We're then booted into the incinerator with extreme prejudice. As Healer lies here, all seems lost. But wait! They may have taken your gift, but they can never take your gun. Despite lying down and letting the cultist play Surgeon Simulator 2 on him, Healer is back at it, albeit feeling a bit more human. The throne's destroyed, but now for Healer, it's personal. Healer doesn't need an implanted purpose to kill these douchebags and get what belongs to him. After all, why shouldn't Healer keep the gift? It's his, of course. Now, if you're like me, thinking that having the gift taken from you changes the gameplay in some way for you, you're going to be sorely disappointed here, my friends. I know your dear narrator has been doing nothing but praising Incision, but if there's one thing I have to say is bad, it's the fact that losing the gift doesn't have any effect on Healer whatsoever. I mean, I get it. Making new systems to introduce to the player this late in the game might have seemed dumb. Going from the dev's Twitter and some external sources, he was very burnt out on making Incision at this point in time. That's understandable. He had been working on the game for 5 years at this point. That kind of time would put even the most dedicated dev on burnout. Still, I can't help but feel like not changing at least something here with how Healer played was a missed opportunity. I'm not a game developer, and I won't pretend to be, so I'm sure he had his reasons. Now, what has changed, dear viewer, is that some of the enemies in Chapter 3 are jet black with red electricity on them. Besides looking awesome, these suckers are demented and are the cultists that have said their prayers, ate their vitamins, were true to themselves, true to their cult, and are real assholes. You'll be seeing a lot of these double speed, triple damage guys in Episode 3. I really hope you enjoy that. A lot. Fighting your way through that, you'll get to what is probably my favorite boss fight in the whole game. It's you! Well, actually it's a weaker, dumber, forgot to hit caps lock to sprint you. Okay, the fight kinda sucks, but I have a soft spot for doppelganger fights, sue me. Turns out the cult has been studying Healer, observing his movements, allowing Healer to kill cultists, all for the sake of making their own Healer. One who will listen to the hive mind of the growth, their own, how you could say, Rust-born Messiah. Once you've taken out 3 health bars of his health. Damn, that was dramatic. Anyways, like I was saying, once you've taken him out of the equation, all that's left is to get your gift back, or at the very least stop the cult from having it. Fighting your way through the city, backtracking into what you once fought your way out of in Episode 1, you eventually get to what can only be described as a gross, ideal version of Healer. In truth, the 6-month Healer spent studying the growth and its cult was nothing but a starting point for a journey the growth had built for him. He was perfect, one of a kind, radiating a kind of power which growth couldn't reach, so it settled with observing him, waiting for him to show the growth his true potential. The growth couldn't fight their prime directive of defending the grafting throne, but the cult had found a loophole. Healer was allowed to kill all of its creations, lay waste to its structures, and tear his way to the grafting throne. Every gunshot, every slice, every dodge, every jump, and every reload of your weapon was a step furthering the growth's magnum opus. The only problem was, the cult was missing one last component, the gift from the throne. Healer shattering the throne and purifying the growth at the end of Chapter 1 only invigorated the growth, causing the cult to take their project even further than expected. A miracle from the sky had given birth to the one fated god which the cult had spoken of, one who would harness worlds between worlds, energy to shape life anew, and power to shatter worlds. After all, growth and the cult only wished for one thing: a primal objective shared by all who were consumed by it and served it, to grow and get stronger. Well, for such an amazing creation, the boss fight sure was easy. Go back to the human-sized doppelganger idea, Growth. Making a giant clone only makes it that much easier for me to shoot you. I love the design of this alchemical miracle, so it really saddens me that the fight itself was quite underwhelming. Tearing the god asunder, the world is bathed in light. Instead of retrieving the gift of the throne for himself, Healer decides that for the good of humanity, he has to destroy it. With his trusty saw blade, he stabs the heart-shaped gift, destroying the last remaining piece of the throne, ending the growth once and for all. Injured from his fight here, Healer wakes up, returning to where the whole story began. I just want to say, the way Healer just shoots this psychopan without even looking at him really reminds me of Caleb at the end of Blood, when he guns down that freed slave and is praising him as a hero. I love Blood. Finally, getting back home, Healer sits in his trademark dad recliner, accompanied by the ever-loyal and ever-lovable Kitty. What a cutie. Sadly, though, it seems as though Healer has expended all that he could, his road ending here. Or does it? Hey, Healer lived, and he's been getting the newspaper. Glad to see in this world people still get the paper thrown at their doorstep at 4 in the morning, raining blood or not. We get what I assume are civilians driving by, quickly zooming out to reveal that Healer is living a peaceful life in Red Rock Trailer Park with his beloved kitty. Isn't that a surprise? Such a happy ending of such a gross game. It makes my heart all tingly and fuzzy inside. Hey, if you watch all the way to the end, thank you. That means the world to me. If you would be so kind as to like and leave me a comment, that would be appreciated. If you're feeling very charitable, maybe even subscribe. Alrighty then, this has been Kaz of 9000 Labs. Till our paths cross again, be a good test subject for me.